You've probably heard the buzz, right? Maybe seen some of those wild headlines. Meme coins like Shiba Inu and Dogecoin. Well, they've had an incredible, sometimes frankly unpredictable ride in the crypto market.
Absolutely. And just last year, 2024, the total value of all cryptocurrencies actually soared, hit a record $3.9 trillion.
Yeah, partly fueled, as we understand it, by promises of pro-crypto policies coming out of the election cycle.
It's amazing how quickly things can shift, isn't it? Especially when you get these external factors like, political sentiment kind of pouring fuel on the fire.
Totally. So today we're going to take a deep dive into two of the biggest names in that meme space, Shiba Inu and Dogecoin.
Right.
Our mission here is to unpack a whole stack of key sources we've gathered, try to separate the hype, and there's a lot of it, from the reality, and give you a clearer picture of their investment potential, especially looking towards 2025 and, well, beyond.
It's really important, I think, to go beyond just the flashy price charts. We need to understand the underlying currents, the fundamental challenges that really define what these assets are or aren't.
Exactly. So let's set the stage. A quick look back at 2024. As we said, crypto had a really strong year. That total market value hit $3.9 trillion after the U.S. presidential election in November. President Trump's campaign, running on those pro-crypto policies, it definitely created a bullish feeling, didn't it?
It really did. And zooming out, it just shows how powerful those macroeconomic and political forces can be. They impact whole market segments like crypto, sometimes just as much as, the tech itself. That initial surge, it's certainly created fertile ground for a lot of tokens.
And these two definitely seem to ride that wave. In 2024, Shiba Inu, it finished the year with gains of 105%. Pretty impressive.
Not bad at all. But Dogecoin.
Dogecoin was even higher, up 251%. I mean, staggering numbers.
It is staggering. But what's really striking when you dig into our sources is that despite these huge gains, they consistently describe these tokens as, and I'm quoting here, vessels for speculation with very little real-world utility.
Right.
That immediately throws up a red flag, doesn't it?
How sustainable is that kind of rally long-term without, a solid foundation, a real use case?
Very little real-world utility. That's a strong phrase, especially after those gains. You've really hit on the core issue, sustainability without utility. So let's dive into that. Let's start with Shiba Inu. It's often tried to be like the ambitious underdog, right? Trying to prove it's more than just a meme. And it had that insane run in 2021, one of the most incredible returns ever, really. It soared. Get this, eye-popping 45,278,000%.
Just incredible numbers.
It means like a perfectly timed $3 investment could have become over $1 million.
A truly meteoric rise, yeah. You can grab at all the headlines. But, as our NASDAQ source pointed out, that kind of rally, it just wasn't sustainable.
Yeah. By mid-2022, NOP had lost something like 90% of its peak value, which is, pretty common for assets fueled mostly by hype, not underlying value.
And this is where that utility question comes back hard. Despite efforts from the developers, the real-world use is still really limited. CryptWorks says only about 1,000 businesses worldwide accept SHIB payments.
Only 1,000? Wow.
Yeah, and many are apparently obscure providers or online gambling houses. That's a huge barrier to widespread adoption, as the source puts it.
That utility gap, it's a theme we see again and again with meme tokens. Look, community enthusiasm, social media buzz, that's powerful in crypto, no doubt. But real lasting value, that usually comes from, tangible applications, actual businesses, and people using it day to day. Without that, it stays mostly speculative.
The developers must know this, though. They've been working on things. They launched Shibarium back in 2023. That's their layer 2 blockchain solution.
Right, the L2.
For anyone listening, think of a layer 2 like an express lane built on top of a main highway like Ethereum. It's meant to handle transactions faster and cheaper. And NASDAQ noted back in April 25 that nearly 1 billion transactions have been processed on Shibarium since it launched.
1 billion sounds big, doesn't it? But then NASDAQ puts it in context. 3.4 trillion global transactions happen every year. So that billion, it's a drop in the bucket. It really shows how far projects like Shibarium still have to go to reach true mainstream scale. It's a huge gap.
That perspective is key. And what's more, you mentioned conflicting data recently.
Yeah, exactly. As of September 17th, 2025, so just now, basically, the picture is murky. The Crypto Basics says Shibarium processed less than 1 million daily transactions, with only around 11,000 in the last 24 hours.
Okay, that's low.
But then Invest reports 1.2 million daily transactions. So which is it? It makes it really hard to tell how much it's actually being used right now.
That is a big difference. Really tough to gauge the true impact then. Okay, so besides trying to fix transaction speed, the SHIB community has also tried to tackle another big issue: the absolutely massive supply. They do this mainly through token burning.
Right, burning tokens, taking them out of circulation.
The idea being, make the remaining ones scarcer, hopefully push up the price.
And this is where we hit another, well, frankly, enormous challenge. The supply of Shiba Inu is just astronomical. There are 589.2 trillion SHIB tokens out there.
Trillion, wow.
NASDAQ put it really starkly. They said if SHIB ever reached $1 per token, its total market value would be a mind-boggling $589.2 trillion.
Which is more than
the entire estimated global wealth, which UBS pegged at $454 trillion back in 2022. It's just mathematically impossible almost.
the burning efforts.
Well, NASDAQ suggests burning enough tokens could take thousands of years, and even then, there's no guarantee it boosts the price. Plus, the Crypto Basic recently noted a burn rate of only about 70,000 SHIB in 24 hours. Tiny.
Thousands of years.
Yeah.
That number just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? It completely reframes the whole burning narrative. What's the practical takeaway for someone hearing that?
It basically means the dream of SHIB hitting $1 or even a cent realistically based on current tokenomics. It's just not feasible without something radically changing.
Okay. And there have been other setbacks too, right? Besides the fundamental supply issue.
Oh, yeah. There was a pretty significant security issue, a $2.3 million exploit, according to Crypto News. The Crypto Basic said $3 million on the Shibarium bridge. That definitely shook confidence.
Security exploits are always damaging. And what about the leadership? That's been a bit strange too.
It has. The lead developer goes by the pseudonym Satoshi Kusama. After that exploit, they apparently broke a month-long silence, reassured the community, and then talked about a decentralized election for a new figurehead.
A pseudonymous leader and now talk of elections. It sounds a bit chaotic.
Well, the Crypto Basic calls this anonymous leadership a potential liability, especially when you're trying to attract, say, institutional money or deal with regulators. Trust is a big issue there.
Makes sense.
Right.
So, okay, lots of hurdles: supply, utility, security, leadership. But they do have a future roadmap, right? They're not just sitting still.
No, definitely not. The roadmap is ambitious. They're talking ShibaSwap updates, a new Shiba hub, this treat token for rewards and governance and gas fees on a future layer 3.
Layer 3 now, okay.
Yeah, plus a play-to-earn game called Shiba Eternity, SE, the Metaverse, K9 Finance liquid staking, a layer 3 testnet planned for Q3 2025, fully functional DAOs for all their tokens. It's a lot.
That's a really packed agenda. Trying to build out a whole ecosystem.
That's clearly the goal, yes. Build utility where there wasn't much before. But, the current market sentiment as of mid-September 2025, CCN says SEIB is stuck in a tight consolidation range, support around 0.0000013, resistance up near 0.0000007, maybe 0.0000006 cents.
And NASDAQ even said back in April it had fallen out of the spotlight a bit. Despite that, the price predictions for SEB, they're all over the place. It really shows how speculative it still is.
Totally. What are some of those predictions saying?
Well, Changelly actually predicts a negative return by late 2025. But then long term, they see huge potential gains by 2030, even hitting over a cent by Tixie 50.
Wow, okay. That's quite a range.
Right. Then you have Crypto New Z thinking it could pass 0.000000326 by end of 2025. CoinCodex sees a high of 0.0008471 in 2025. Wallet Investor thinks maybe 0.0000000 say 493 within 5 years. One analyst, Javon Marks, even predicts a new all-time high by 2025.
So literally everything from down slightly to new highs?
Exactly. And technically, some sources say breaking key resistance around 0.0000000 could slide back towards 0.00000. It's just volatile.
It really is. It highlights how things like sentiment, chart patterns, news, how much they drive the price in the short term, often way more than any fundamental utility.
Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the original meme king.
Yeah.
Dogecoin. Founded way back in 2013, inspired by that Shiba Inu dog meme. It hit a peak market cap around $90 billion in 2021.
And a huge part of that story, as our sources all point out, is the Elon Musk factor.
Ah, yes, Elon.
The Tesla CEO, he's been a massive influence, tweeting about Dogecoin since 2019, really boosting its profile.
That Saturday Night Live appearance he did in May 2021, that was something else. He did a Dogecoin skit. The price shot up to its all-time high of 73 cents.
And then promptly crashed. lost 90% of its value by mid-2022, just like Shiba Inu did after its peak. A classic crypto story, unfortunately.
It really is. But Doge also got a boost after the 2024 election, didn't it? Again, tied to Trump's pro-crypto stance.
It did, and our sources mention this interesting detail. It got an extra boost because Musk was appointed to lead this new Department of Government Efficiency.
And the acronym was?
DOGE.
EOGE. You can't make this stuff up. Investors obviously saw that as a nod, a sign of support.
Whether it was intended or not, the market certainly reacted that way. But NASDAQ notes that even that hype now appears to be fizzling out. The token's back down to around $2.18.
So the Musk effect might be waning, or at least less potent.
It seems less sustained, perhaps. And Dogecoin faces its own supply problem, too, though it's different from SHIBs.
How so?
Well, there's a cap on how many new Dogecoins are created each year, but there's no end date.
So it keeps inflating forever.
Exactly. An infinite amount of new tokens will be minted over time. Unlike Bitcoin, which has a hard cap, Dogecoin has this built-in inflationary pressure. More coins chasing the same value potentially pushes the price down over the long run.
That's a really important difference. And fundamentally, like SHIB.
Still, very little utility in the real world. Its value is mostly held up by speculation and, well, community sentiment, often linked to Musk.
Okay, so we saw those specific price predictions for SHIB. Are analysts making similar detailed forecasts for Dogecoin looking ahead to 2025?
That's a really interesting point. And based on the sources we reviewed for this deep dive, not really, not in the same way.
Huh. Why do you think that is?
Well, while Shiba Inu, for all its challenges, has this very active development team pushing out that big roadmap we talked about, Shibarium, Layer 3, Treat token, etc., which generates analyst discussion.
Right.
The conversation around Dogecoin seems much more focused on its reliance on external factors, namely Elon Musk, and the fundamental problem of its infinite supply. There just isn't the same level of discussion about internal development generating future utility, at least not reflected in these specific, diverse price forecasts like we saw for SHIB.
That's actually quite telling, isn't it? The lack of those detailed predictions. It suggests maybe the market sees less potential for organic growth driven by new features for Doge compared to SHIB's efforts.
It could suggest that, yes, or at least that the narrative driving Dogecoin is still primarily external. So the absence of those granular forecasts kind of speaks for itself about where the focus lies.
Fascinating. Okay, so let's try to pull this together. The verdict: Shiba Inu or Dogecoin. And what else should you, the listener, be thinking about? It seems pretty clear from our sources, particularly NASDAQ, both are seen as extremely risky investments.
Yeah, mainly because of that high volatility and the continuing lack of real-world utility for both.
NASDAQ seems to think Shiba Inu might have a harder time generating more big gains from here. Why? Because it's maybe fallen out of the spotlight a bit, and those token-burning efforts, thousands of years, isn't exactly encouraging, is it?
No, it really puts a damper on that narrative. It highlights those huge supply challenges.
Dogecoin, meanwhile, its main advantage seems to be Elon Musk's attention. NASDAQ calls this a very flimsy reason to make an investment, which feels fair enough.
It does keep eyeballs on the token, you can't deny that, but NASDAQ is pretty blunt.
No.
There's a high chance you will lose money if you buy Dogecoin today.
So caution is strongly advised for both. What about the bigger picture? Where do these fit in the overall crypto market?
Well, stepping back, we are seeing more institutional interest in crypto generally, and a big push for regulatory clarity, things like the SEC's Project Crypto, the Genius Act. This trend might actually favor assets with clearer utility or maybe a better regulatory profile.
Which might not be these meme coins.
Potentially, yes. Although, interestingly, there's apparently chatter around a possible SHIB exchange-traded fund, ETF, and a proposed SHIB ETF.
An ETF for SHIB. Wow. That would be an attempt to bring it into a more legitimate institutional framework, wouldn't it?
Exactly. It signals that push towards legitimization, even for assets that started as memes. It's a strange intersection.
It really is. But given all the risks we've talked about with SHIB and DOGE, the volatility, the utility gap, the supply issues, what are the alternatives?
NASDAQ and other sources pretty much suggest looking beyond these specific meme tokens if you're risk-averse. They point towards more established cryptos, like Bitcoin, obviously, or even traditional stocks.
Right, things that offer, consistent revenue and earning streams, assets that might deliver more reliable returns over the long term.
It really brings up that core question, doesn't it? Meme coins offer this allure of incredibly fast, dramatic gains driven by stories, by community, by hype. But what actually makes for a sustainable investment in this digital age?
Yeah.
For many long-term investors, diversification, focusing on assets with clear use cases, strong fundamentals, that's probably still the key.
Okay, so we've really unpacked the fascinating and often contradictory world of Shiba Inu and Dogecoin today. We went from those huge speculative surges, looked at Shiba's ambitious plans, the whole ecosystem they're trying to build.
To the, let's say, enduring, if perhaps flimsy influence of Elon Musk on Dogecoin.
Right. And we saw how both are still wrestling with these fundamental problems of utility and supply. That makes them inherently risky, but still undeniably captivating players in this crypto landscape. So what does this all mean for you as you try to navigate this space?
Well, as these meme coins keep challenging our old ideas about value and investment because they are driven so much by community, by narrative, celebrity nods, rather than just pure utility, it really raises a big question, doesn't it? Are we seeing some kind of fundamental shift in what value even means in a digital economy? Or are these just, super speculative assets riding these waves of collective attention, destined to fade eventually? What qualities, at the end of the day, truly define sustainable value in the long run? And how might that definition itself change as these unconventional assets keep popping up? Something to think about.